Sixers as a team.
No. Honestly, they could keep on doing this in the regular season. Once the playoffs start, I gotta see it. For the past 6 years, this has been like the only team that hasn't made it past the second round. The Boston Celtics made it to the conference final. The Hawks made it to the conference finals. The Bucks made it to the conference finals. The Raptors made it to the conference finals. Different teams made it through the conference finals in the past 6 years, except the 76ers. They had various rosters. They had Jimmy Butler. They had Brent Brown. They had Doc Rivers. They had variations of different lineups and schemes, but they seem to never get past the second round. So I'm not going to overreact that they're just playing well. I didn't see them play well several times. They done been like the number one seed, different seeding, whether however you want to cut it. But when it comes to the playoffs, they just it's always something that they can't get over and something that they can't figure out. So I'm not gonna overreact and say we were sleeping on them or nothing. They're a good team. We all know that. But when the postseason comes, that's a true testament on how good they really are as a team. And they seem to have been failing these past couple of years because they seem to not really get it. And yeah, so I'm not gonna overreact. I'm not gonna say I'm sleeping on them. Kudos to them for playing well. I definitely want to give them credit. I watched the Clippers game. I definitely seen them work in a lot of the different areas. I seen Tobias Harris have an efficient shooting night, and I seen them um, like compared to like the beginning of the season, the offense is way better. I seen Tyrese Maxey been like spectacular that fourth quarter. He was kind of like the sole reason to why they kind of won that fourth quarter. So kudos to him, but it definitely seems more improved. I definitely give him kudos, credit for that though.
I want to go second here and kind of just piggyback off what Jalen just said. I agree with what he was sort of alluding to at the beginning of his statement, where this team for like he said like the past ever since the process was kind of done, they've just been good in the regular season, but then when it comes to the playoffs, they have fallen short a lot. And now I think what it's been, well, what I want to get into is them having James Harden now. I feel his problem is that when he gets to the playoffs, he kind of shies away when the lights turn brightest. So now he's on the 76ers and he's the second best player on the team. Well, some people would say that's Tyrese Maxey, but how Doc Rivers utilizes Harden, he is that second best player on the team. So he's gonna have to just come up big in the playoffs. And I don't think we're saying he has to go back to that Houston James Harden that was averaging like 35 a game, because that's gonna take away from Embiid, and you should be playing through Embiid. But how he's playing now, the 20 and 10 guy, the one that him and Embiid are dominating in the pick and roll, Harden being able to knock down that 3-point shot. He's going to have to do that because what happens a lot of times in the playoffs is that when you only have one per se dominant player and you're running your whole offense through him, we all know in the playoffs when the game slows down and you get to key in on one team, what they do is now just in terms of the Sixers is put Joel Embiid in a box and you kind of double team him, and now you're forcing the Tobias Harrises of the world, the Tyrese Maxey's who is still young, and now a James Harden to just be a huge player. And thus far, he hasn't really done it in his career from the most part. And now he's here on the Sixers. And we even seen last year he kind of fell short in that series versus the Miami Heat. So can't I feel pieces on the team on paper they could make the NBA Finals, but to be honest with y'all, I wouldn't put any type of money on that right now that they could make it that far. There's just a lot of question marks. We, like I said, we know what they do in the regular season, but we just don't know how they're gonna perform in the playoffs. And I could give it to Seb.
I feel like with this team right now, what we're seeing is like they have all the tools that is necessary to make it this year. We all every year we gonna say maybe the Sixers have a chance this year, Sixers have a chance that year. I feel like with everything now, with James Harden fully back and healthy, and like really he's finding his footing on this team, being that 2010 and guy. I feel like he's having an underrated season that nobody's really talking about because it's not usual people are seeing from James Harden, but it's very efficient and leading to wins right now. I feel like he's really found that in between game with Joel Embiid, something that I was referring back to like earlier on in the season when they were struggling to come out the gates. I feel like we needed more of that. I said Jalen was he was talking about how Tyrese Maxey needs to be like more like ball dominant as well. I feel like everything that we talked about is everything that they needed to do to have this winning recipe. So right now, I'd say like we should be talking about them a little bit more because at the end of the day, Embiid is still a threat. And I feel like Tyrese Maxey is as much as a threat, and James Harden is a threat when he gets it going as well. So I definitely feel like we should be talking about them just because of the strength that now they're really playing ball, and we see what type of offense that they have, and it's an unstoppable offense right now. It's a high net rating offense, which you was talking about too, Justin, with that pick and roll. That pick and roll is nearly unstoppable, especially when Harden gets going with his shot. Then it feels like you don't know what to guard now because now defense is going to have to close in on Harden, which could give Embiid way more space. And we already see Embiid. I believe he's leading the league in points per game. Now imagine how much more that amplifies once they start like keying in on Harden too. So I definitely feel like it's a pick your poison matchup, and that's probably going to be scary to watch in the postseason, and especially depending their matchups too as well. So definitely we should be talking about them a little bit more.
Let me ask you, Seb, where do you have them finishing as of right now?
Uh, in the beginning of the season, I had them first. I could say I see them finishing third now. I definitely had them first for some reason. I feel like they was gonna come out hotter now. I feel like if they came out playing how they play right now, they could have been first too. Cause like
I don't I don't mean to cut you off. I didn't really mean too much seating wise. I mean like in the playoffs, like how far do you see them going as of right now? From what you've seen about a little halfway over the season.
halfway over the season, I see second round as always. But I wouldn't be surprised this year though. Like if they can make it to the conference finals, I feel like they can knock off a Milwaukee Bucks team. I feel like that works out well for them. I feel like they could knock out a Cleveland team. So I feel like the only
Wait,
team.
wait, wait. I was slow down. What have you seen that makes you say they can knock off Milwaukee? We've seen Milwaukee win the NBA championship and get over the hump. What have you seen? Because you just kind of agreed with me and Jalen and said that when it comes to the playoffs, they usually wet the bed when it matters most. So what makes you say now they can just beat the Milwaukee Bucks? Because you said that kind of quickly and then tried to run away.
Nah, I feel like yeah, I do feel like they could beat the Milwaukee Bucks this year. I feel like what we see now is like just a better offense. You don't have somebody like Ben Simmons who refuses to shoot this year. I feel like the bench players are decent this year. You got a guy PJ Tucker who brings in defense. I feel like what PJ Tucker brings is like underrated because last year the Heat was the first seed with PJ Tucker in that lineup, and I feel like and they went to a conference final. So I feel like it's a
I
PJ
feel
Tucker.
I feel I feel like you've told me personally that you're not too much of a fan of what PJ Tucker does this season. That's what you
Yeah, I'm not too much of a fan. He does, but feel me, you have to respect it at the end of the day.
you
You
want
could
to
wait.
risk.
You
Go
could.
ahead.
I feel like you could respect it because now, like, look, where did this team finish last year? Fourth seed. They're second seed right now. They're not too far from the first seed. Where did Miami finish last year? First seed. And where are they now? They have
Are,
PJ Tucker,
are
fifth seed. It's an impact. I can't deny it's an impact. And the
all
year
right, but
before that in
you're going
Milwaukee
all.
too, they won
All
it.
right, but Seth, slow down. You're going all over the place right now. Slow down. I don't want you to get nervous. Slow down. We're talking about them versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, did you hear you say offensively? Are you saying that what you've just seen from the Sixers offensively this year, ran by Doc Rivers, is better than what Mike Budenholzer is putting out there with Giannis?
Yes, I would have to agree that, especially with Chris Middleton out the lineup as well. It's been a struggle for Milwaukee. They have
But
to.
did you see? But did you see when Giannis and Middleton came back last night and damn near scored 200 points?
I definitely did. I definitely had that on notice. I definitely had that on notice.
Okay.
But we'll see. I feel like the offense is matched up equally as well too. So I could give him 76 as a fighting chance too.
Do
It's
you
not
trust